sabes lo que pasa.
El primer verso, papi.
Yeah. Lo que manda aquí la clave. Este ritmo guaguanco, esto es lo que existe. Y también está mi chamaco, nadie nos resiste.
Che, no resiste.
Aquí estamos bravos, la chema tan brava. Esta vida es brava, y yo también soy bravo.
Buenos dias, la familia. ¿Qué pasa? Bienvenidos. Welcome to another episode of Black Sit to Panama, where we discuss all things Exodus from the United States from the perspective of a 52-year-old black man. I'm your host, Big Will, and I really want to thank you for taking the time to join us. Let me start off by apologizing. I know it's been a little break in between last video and this video. Life happens. Me and the missus actually moved in between that time, so we had to take a little break from putting out content for you good people and take care of our own lives here in Panama. Now I know what you're thinking. Well, Big Will, you moved. It's not that deep. We moved within Panama, which was always the plan. Our initial plan was to come into Coronado and then use that as a home base to scout places within Panama for us to, plant our flag permanently. And we think that we've done that. We're still in the Coronado area. We love Panama West. As you can see behind me, that's the coastline. That's still the Pacific. As a matter of fact, if I move my head a little bit, you may be able to see the old building where we were in the distance. We just moved about 5-10 minutes down the street. We're in a community called Gorgona. Actually, it's Nueva Gorgona. And I covered Nueva Gorgona in a previous episode. So check that out right there. I think it's going to be right there. Covered it in detail there. So in a future video, I'm going to do an in-depth look at the Panama Oeste coastline, going even more in-depth than my previous video, to give people an idea of everything that's really available for you here in Panama. I know, just like you, we did our research coming through Panama and looked at YouTube videos and everything we could find online and affinity groups on Facebook. And the three places that you always hear about in moving to Panama, relocating, are going to be Panama City, Boquete, and Coronado. That's great. There are a lot more places to Panama. I mean, there's only three places in a big country. But when it comes to Coronado, I will say this: there are a lot more options available in Panama Oeste. It's not just Coronado. Coronado is just one beach town amongst 8 or 10 beach towns along a beautiful coastline. So I really want people to understand that Panama Oeste has a lot to offer. So once again, shameless plug. Check out the old video. You can see that Panama Oeste goes all the way from Chame down to like Rio Alto and Ferrion, and there's so many options to choose from. So for us, here's some images. This building has everything that we were looking for. The apartment is sizable. The amenities are great. It's a 9-year-old building, so we have some of the more cushy, bougie things that we're accustomed to, like granite and backsplashes and all that good stuff. Hey, everybody's got their own idiosyncrasies. I'm putting mine out there, so don't judge me. So that's why we had the break, but we're back. So if this is your first time joining us on Black Sit to Panama, thank you so much for clicking. Please take the time to like and subscribe so that you can see new content as it comes out. We put out a show twice a month here, so and it's always going to be engaging and full of good information to help you in your process of relocating to Panama. If you're a repeat offender, y'all know I love my repeat offenders. Oh my God, thank you. Thank you so much for coming back again. What are we going to talk about today? Today is all about the Benjamins, loot, the Skrilla, cheddar, dinero, ducats, cream, cash rules everything around me. Anyway, that's what we're going to be talking about today, so let's get to it, fam.
Corazón, tú me pides corazón.
when discussing money in Panama, the first and biggest factor to keep in mind is one of the things that led us to move here in the first place. Out of all of the places that we looked at for making our Blackset, Panama was the only location that used the US dollar. So your money works here. The same dollar bills you have in your wallet today will be the same ones that you use here in Panama. They do have some coins that are different than the US, but you know, you can have a 25-cent coin, a 5-cent coin, a 10-cent coin, a penny. They also have what's called a balboa. It's a dollar, and it looks like a quarter with a little gold piece in the middle of it. And for me, those are great because that's what I use for tipping. I keep them in my pocket, and you know, anytime somebody helps me with groceries or something, bam, let me give you this quarter. It feels like a quarter to me, but it's really a dollar. So the currency is exactly the same as it is in the US. You don't have to worry about adding stuff up in your head. When you see something is $25, it's $25. So let's discuss getting money into the country. So with bringing cash into Panama, you are restricted to $10,000 in cash on your person. Now, since the currency is the same and everything else is pretty much the same, I'll go into detail a little bit later, but bringing $10,000 in cash is a lot. You're going to have to declare that, and as soon as you declare that you have $10,000 in cash on you, you have now put yourself in a completely different category as far as customs concerned. So it's going to take you a little extra time to get through customs. They're going to want to make sure that they're tracking that cash and, you know, reporting back to the United States. Hey, this person just took $10,000 worth of cash out of your country. So be mindful of that. I'm not aware of any tax implications, but if someone is, by all means, please leave that in the comment and correct me. ATMs. So there are ATMs here at Panama's in the 21st century, lo and behold. And the ATMs, a lot of them are on the same networks that you see in the United States. So those little logos you see on the back of your debit card and check cards, Plus logo, Cirrus network. I can't remember all the ATM networks, but they are here. So as a matter of fact, after being here, I don't think for 5 months, any ATM I go to has those logos. Yeah, no matter what bank is, Panamanian bank is offering it. I haven't had to say, oops, I'm at the wrong ATM yet. So it's really easy to get access to your cash while you're here in Panama. Let's discuss using debit cards real quick. So if you're unaware, debit cards have cash withdrawal limits. So you're going to be limited in how much cash you can get out of the ATM on a daily basis. And here in Panama, they go a little bit extra. The daily limit is is usually $500 in the States. But here in Panama, they limited you to $250 a day. So $250 a day cash withdrawal limit. If you're going to buy something in cash that costs more than $250, plan ahead. And keep in mind, there's fees associated with each withdrawal. So the fee that I'm seeing is $5.25 on the Panamanian side for each withdrawal. So my rule of thumb is every time I go to the ATM, I withdraw the max because it's going to cost me $5 from Panama plus whatever my US bank is going to charge me. So let me just max out my withdrawals anytime I can. Also, if you're in the habit of using your bank account's check card with the Visa logo or MasterCard logo, if you're in the habit of using your check card for purchases, keep in mind that your bank is going to charge you fees for using that check card because it's not really a credit card. It's, it's a debit card. So I don't think Panama charges fees, but whenever I use my check card, I do get pinged, and it's a percentage of whatever the purchase price is. So, the higher the purchase price, the more the fee is going to be. You want to keep that in mind. Also, there are daily limits on how much you can spend on your check card. So keep that in mind. I ran into that when we first moved here, and you guys maybe remember me discussing it. We bought a car in cash when we moved here, and the car was more than the $5,000 daily spend limit, and I wasn't aware of the spend limit. So they ran the card and was like, it didn't work the first time, so it was like, okay, maybe it's a per transaction limit. Let's break up the amount into two halves. So the first half went through, and then the second half didn't go through, and they're like, oh, well, you're going to come back tomorrow to finish it. And I'm like, you got to have my money. I want my car today. So anyway, it all worked out. I got the car. They got their money. Everything worked out. Just be aware that there's a $5,000 spending limit on your check card. So being in the 21st century, Panama is all about credit cards too. So your credit cards are going to work here. They work here easily. As a matter of fact, they're ahead of us a little bit. So it's very common for Panamanian credit cards. All of our cards have those chips on them now, right? But Americans are still inserting their chips into the machine. Panama has gotten to the point where they have a tap feature. So all they have to do is touch their credit card the credit card to the machine, and bam, the purchase is made. So I have one American credit card that does that out of 3 or 4. So I'm telling you, it's a beautiful thing. Keep in mind though, even though credit cards are widely accepted here, and I mean, even fruit stands will have little credit card machines. All vendors do not take credit cards. Be aware of that. You will need cash in order to buy some things here in certain situations. Maybe a restaurant, maybe a gift shop, cabs. So just be mindful. Have a little bit of cash on you. So Big Will, you just told me I can only spend $5,000 on a check card. Or if I need to get cash, I can only get $250 in cash a day. So what happens if I need to buy something and, on a normal basis? Here's a solution that I've come up with. We have a U.S. bank account and we have a Panamanian bank account. The Panamanian bank account was actually necessary as part of our Friendly Nations visa process. So having a Panamanian bank account makes life a lot easier. One of the things that makes it easy is because here in Panama, they make it easy for you to pay vendors directly through your bank account. It's a debit transaction, but it's a account to account transaction. I put in, for instance, my landlord, I put in his account number into the website, and it immediately moves money from our Panamanian bank to his Panamanian bank. And this works no matter what his bank is. As long as the vendor has a Panamanian bank, this transfer works smoothly and it's free. It's a free transfer of money. They don't do this in the States. How do I fund the Panamanian bank account? You can do a wire transfer to get money in there quickly. However, the wire transfer is going to cost you some coin. My bank charges $30 for a wire transfer. But with a wire transfer, I can move a large sum of money very quickly. The wire transfer shows up in a day. The solution that I'm working with is free. It just takes time. I write a check from my U.S. bank account and deposit it into my Panamanian bank account. Once again, it's free. It does take about 14 days for that check to clear. So I plan ahead. Whenever I have a big expense, I know I need to transfer funds. So once a month, I'm writing a check to keep that stuff in the Panamanian bank account, and then, take out of that Panamanian bank account as needed. Voila. All right, so let's talk about if you're still working and moving in Panama. How do you handle your money then? First things first. Working in Panama, let's discuss that for a quick second. It is possible for you to get a job in Panama after relocating here. However, you will have to be a permanent resident in order to get a job. Just like we do in the States, you have to be legal. So once you get your They don't call it a green card here, it's called a cedula. But once you get your permanent resident card, you can find a job in Panama. Finding a job in Panama is going to be interesting though, because Panama does an excellent job of protecting certain professions for Panamanians. Here's a website where you can go and check to see if your profession is one of the protected professions. Off the top of my head, I know like doctors, if you're in the medical profession, they're not going to let you practice here in Panama, unfortunately. I think engineers are also protected, accountants. So check the list out and see if your job is protected. Now, if you're like me and my wife, you remote work. You still work in the US, but you can be anywhere. That is a pretty sweet thing to do here in Panama, no doubt about it. We're blessed. It's sweet because Panama does not tax US income. I'm gonna say that one more time. Panama does not tax US income. So we're still paying US taxes, but we don't have to pay any Panamanian taxes on that money. And as I just told you, we're transferring it to our Panamanian bank account and using it to live. So if you are going to work in Panama, please keep that in mind. Lastly, let's have a quick conversation about cryptocurrency. OMG. I know this is a hot button topic for some people. We have some Blackseteers that just joined us that are big on the crypto exchange, and I hope to be able to bring them to you in a future interview. If they're watching, you know who I'm talking about. You know I'm talking about you. Anyway, crypto is huge here in Panama. It is huge. So I would suggest that you, if you don't know about it, get into it, learn about it, because it's huge. Banks here are making all of the moves to establish cryptocurrency as a real bona fide thing. If you're already into crypto and already have some loot stored away, you can actually spend your crypto here for things. Locally, you can get a credit card. The bank accounts are starting to offer access to your crypto funds. Those crypto credit cards accepted here. So I'm very, very, very excited about what that has to, what crypto in Panama has to play. So that's a wrap for Money in Panama. I know this was a quick one. Not a lot to talk about, but I wanted to get it out there because it's a very important subject. We need to take care of our coins and make sure our coins are being used to the maximize purpose. Once again, if this is your first time joining the show, please take the time to like and subscribe so that we can keep bringing you content like this. Repeat offenders, as always, thank you so much. I love seeing you guys out in the wild. Keep shouting me up, shouting me out. To my fam on Black Expats in Panama Facebook group, please continue to shout out me, and keep in mind, we are more than willing to share our experiences and chat with you when you're in Panama, but we do work. So we have a life. We would, gladly hook up with you by video. In-person meetings are a little rough because we work and have a life, but we are glad to share our experiences with you, tips, lessons, all the stuff that you're not getting on the video. So by all means, keep shouting me out. Until next time, Blackseteers, ciao.
Corazón.